Hello, my name is Lucy Adlington and I'm here to tell you about Summerland, my exciting new novel. I'm very excited. This novel came to me, a figure walking up a long avenue of trees holding a suitcase. It's a story of looking for someone, a story of finding yourself, and it's a story of finding out where you belong. And it's a love story too. It's set in 1946, at the end of the war, just when you'd think there'd be no more stories. That's when the really interesting stories begin. I hope you enjoy it. I've always loved writing. I find it quite addictive, and as soon as I finish one story, I'm on to the next. When I finished The Red Ribbon, it was a little bit different because I put so much heart into that story, and it was such a dramatic tale from a real bit of history. And I thought, well, I don't know if I'm going to write anything for a while. And then this story came to me. I didn't have to look far for it. And it came from talking to people. It came from objects in history, stories from history. And it was different to write because aside from an initial image of a character with a suitcase, I then had to explore what was going to happen. I didn't know. This story wasn't from a history book complete. I was finding out, along with my character Brigitta, what would happen. And along the way, I met lots of fantastic characters. I may have borrowed some of them from people I knew when I was at school. Sorry if you're one of the baddies, but you'll never know. It was different as well because so many people were reading The Red Ribbon and saying how much they loved it. And I got that horrible imposter syndrome thing. Oh, I thought, I can't write another book. I can't write anything like that. Luckily, Summerland isn't The Red Ribbon. It's different. But it's also, in some ways, it's built on that richness of the experience I had from writing The Red Ribbon and talking with people afterwards. And actually what was startling about this book was the number of surprises I got. There were two occasions as I was drafting the story, and I do it longhand. I like to scribble with a pen or paper, whatever. And I suddenly thought, what was this character? This character just turns up on New Year's Eve. There's a big party. And it was like an EastEnders moment. You expect that music to go do, 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 because this character suddenly blew the whole plot apart. And I thought, I didn't see that coming. And then there's another twist a bit later on, and I can't tell you, that really makes the story, I think, very special, actually, very authentic. So it was a tough story to write. I got ill while I was writing it, which made it even harder because I was desperate. I was lying horizontal, looking at the ceiling, thinking, I've got all these stories in my head, I've got these characters in my head, I want to get them down, and I couldn't. I did 20 minutes a day, and that was it. But it just goes to show you can write a book on 20 minutes a day. So that was tough. And then when I'd done it, it was really quite special reading it through again because I felt like I was visiting Summerland, the place of the story, and exploring it with my characters. So it's going out to you now, and you'll have to let me know what you think. So I have my suitcase ready to open, and this actually belonged to an evacuee, a little boy from in the northeast of England. His name was Alan. Don't know what he packed in it, but I have one of the objects from the story in here, well, a couple I found, and I really like to use objects when I'm writing stories, and this tiny little book, it is called a midget book. It's a midget dictionary, English to German, German to English, tiny little writing. My German is coming on, I'm practicing, and I really love this sense of you're coming to a strange country, you don't know the language. It's pretty nerve-wracking, and there's no Google Translate or anything. So the idea that you'd be trying to listen to people and looking in what's inside and trying to figure out what's going on, things are so bewildering. So that's a nice example of how you can use objects from the past to sort of ground yourself in a story. What else is in here? Wouldn't you like to know?